Hey, the time is here. We are starting our 66-day habit challenge, and we are excited to be moving forward and see progress with our goals. There's no better time after summer. We're just ready to feel better. We're ready to level up. And so, to get started, I want to talk a second about your why. Do you know what your why is to get healthy? If you're not clear on your why, it will be really easy to make excuses and quit. And the more time we quit, the easier it is to quit next time. And so we've got to build that brain muscle of learning to be consistent. And the way that we do that is knowing why we're doing it. One thing that I want to share with you is our excuses are lies that we tell ourselves so that it doesn't have to be our fault. Think about that. I want you to think about the excuses you've been telling yourself of why you're not getting healthy. What excuse is holding you back? Is it that it's too hard? You're too busy. You've tried too many times. There's so many. It might be blaming it on someone else. My spouse is not supportive. It might be that I'm too stressed. My job is too stressful. What are the excuses that you're telling yourself so that it doesn't have to be your fault? And one thing that we learn with Optavia is we take responsibility and we play above the line. We take ownership for our own excuses, our own why. So when our why is strong enough, we can turn that around and it can be our compelling driving factor that moves us toward our goal. And so that's why we want to do this challenge, is to be clear on our why and set those small goals to help us move forward to be successful. So I hope you have your tracker printed. I have mine. And one thing that I wanted to share with you that I'm doing to make this kind of fun is I have a goal for each week, something to start with, something small. Once I do that for a week, I have another goal the next week that I'm going to add on to it. These are just small goals. These are things that are going to help me move closer to my why. And so it might be starting with sticking to my eating plan the first week. The second week, it might be that I'm going to add to make sure that I'm drinking 80 ounces of water every day. And so I keep doing what I started with, but I add a small habit each week. The next week, it is that I have to get outside for some type of exercise, even if it's just walking to the end of my driveway and back. It's just putting my shoes on and going outside. And then the next week, to be in bed by 11 o'clock because that's a hard one for me. And so each week I'm having a little goal that I'm adding on to the next goal, and I'm going to be marking these off. And one thing that I love about this is these small, consistent habits are going to add up to be big changes in our lives. So what I want you to think about today is your why. That's your first step, is why are you wanting to make a change? What excuses have you been telling yourself? I want you to own it. So name it, name the why, name the excuse that's holding you back. I want you to share that with someone. I want you to flip the script, write it down, and turn it around. What if the opposite were true? What if you weren't too busy? What if you said, instead of I'm too busy, it's my life is so full, I am intentional at making sure I fuel my body in a healthy way. So I meal prep, or I plan my meals ahead of time to make sure that I can fuel my body to be able to have the energy to keep up with all the fun things in my life, all the great things that are going on. So what if you were telling yourself that instead of giving yourself the excuse that you can't do it? It's very powerful. So I want to hear what your why is. I want you to think about what your excuse has been and turn that around. Make your why your compelling factor to drive you forward. Recognize that excuse and turn it into your why, of why you want to be healthy, why you want to have energy, why you want to be intentional and mindful and be in control of your choices, why you want to create these habits during our 66-day challenge. So make sure you've printed off your tracker, set your intentional why, and share it with someone. Share it with us. I want to hear what your why is, what you're working on, and what your intentional goals are. Whether it just be one goal for the whole month, that's awesome. Whether you have a few small goals that you're going to work on during the month, whether you work on them all at the same time, or like me, I'm going to kind of add small habits one by one throughout the month so it's not too overwhelming. But I want to hear what you're working toward. Let's share it. Let's grow together, and let's make our excuses, turn those around and make those our compelling whys. All right, it's going to be a great 66 days. Talk to you later.